Hour now that I can speak. It's so nice to be here with you. So in fact, I will start with some general thoughts instead of concluding with the general thoughts about the career for young researchers. And the first one is, I think the most important for you guys is to identify a nice environment, because to perform basically what you want to do, what you like, what your potential, you need to be in the good environment. And this is true in life in general, but especially in the work. And this is, for example, human environment, intellectual environment, scientific, technological, everything related to the environment. And what research institutions, university teams, they offer you is basically each one has a different environment, which is at your disposition if you want to join and you think it's this environment you will express yourself in the best possible manner. For example, if one of you likes to work, has a lot of freedom, and you have a boss that is really, very tight, very strict, and so on, it doesn't give you that freedom, you will not be able to perform. On the other hand, some people, they like more close mentoring. They don't like to have freedom because it's stressing them out, they feel anxious. If they have a boss that gives them too much freedom, they will not perform. So this is an example of the human environment. And this is true for every type of environment. So what I will present you is the Institut Curie environment that was created in this institute and in our department. And the second thing is, the title here is Career Prospects, and we talk about perspectives and so on, about the future. But for you, I think most important is the present. Because in a career, the early steps are really critical. And this is also true in life. You know, in the first years, the childhood is the most important phase, according to psychologists and so on, to determine later adult life. So here you are in your childhood in terms of research, and these steps are very important. And for both of these aspects, the Leonardo program, here Unipharma graduates, is helping you a lot. To find a good environment, because of this very nice matching system that Luciano and his team have put in place, so that you increase the possibilities to identify the good environment for you, and also to help you make that move in your early career to be in the right path of good labs, good institutions, to help you launch, because these are the important moves. So all the rest I will tell you, some tips, some descriptions about what is Curie Institute and so on is important, but not as important, I think, as the general principles. So Institut Curie was founded by Marie Curie, the Nobel laureate who discovered radioactivity, together with a medical doctor who is less known, Claudius Regaud. I think he was a pathologist. Oncology at that time did not exist as a specialty. And together they had the idea to apply the discoveries in basic science and physics to apply to medicine. So at that time it was a very visionary, to go from fundamental physics to use radioactivity to treat tumors. And they created that institute, and we still live with and work with this legacy of applying basic science discoveries to patient health. And by the way, the Institut Curie has nothing to do with the Pierre et Marie Curie University, which is a big science university in Paris, and also nothing to do with the Marie Curie Fellowships, the European Fellowships. Okay, it's just Institut Curie. Because there are a lot of confusions. So it's a big institute. The research is very interdisciplinary, although many things work on cancer, it's not only cancer, it really goes from chemistry, physics, interface physics, biology, genetics, developmental. You have tons of disciplines, and it really promotes interdisciplinarity through interactions between all these disciplines. And it's one of the most interdisciplinary institutes in France and amongst the really nice interdisciplinary institutes worldwide, because it kept some basic sciences also from the Marie Curie heritage. It's about 1,000 people total, and next to it there is a hospital, which is an anti-cancer center. It's about 2,000 staff people, and it treats all types of cancers in an integrated manner. So here there is a line about publications. of course, it's not everything in science is not about publications, but for your careers. The way the system is today, many people will look at publications, and this will increase your probabilities of getting jobs, positions, and so on. So everywhere you go, it's an important figure. And then we also apply for patents. There are startup companies created, emerging from Curie Institute's teams, so it's another type of perspectives. Industrial partnerships and training, I will mention it later. The Curie Institute has obtained the label of CIRIC, its Integrated Cancer Center, and this is a list of different interdisciplinary integrated programs all around applications to cancer. I'm not going into details, but it goes from basic research to clinical applications. And this scheme from basic discoveries to clinical applications is basically summarized here on the slide. So the basic discoveries in all the basic sciences, including immunology, physics, genetics, and then they go through different pipelines using technological platforms, models, preclinical models, computational data management. We try to push them towards clinical application, biomarkers for patients, and new therapies. So now in our department, the immunology, just a few slides to say, okay, how we use this environment ourselves in immunology. Here you have basically all the names are the research teams, and we are interested in different cell types and different aspects of immunity in human models on the app, and also mouse models, so we have a very good complementarity. And each one of us have different interface with other disciplines. For example, my group works a lot between immunology and bioinformatics, computational biology and systems biology. But other teams, they work with the cell biology, with the physicists, chemists, and so on. So these are the 8 teams. So we mentioned to you this morning these ERCs, the European Research Council. So 4 of us have an ERC grant, which is also a sign of recognition and also of resources to do our research. And the teams are about 10 people for mean average for each one. And we also have our own translational research in immunology that goes towards immune modulation. We have a big program on tumor microenvironment, vaccines, and therapeutic antibodies that mix different aspects of biotechnology with immunology and clinical applications. This is an example of the program we have in microenvironment. I will go very fast. Clinical samples from the hospital, and we try to generate modular data to characterize the complexity of the tumor microenvironment. This we do in breast cancer. And we have already analyzed 450 samples that we get from patients, so it's really a big program. And we have data analysis pipelines from biostatistical analysis to identify correlations between different markers. Then we go to modeling, and then we go to link with the clinical parameters to identify the biomarkers. Okay, so that was for the science. And now a few slides about the training, which is also very important for you and to help you go forward. So there are different training programs in Curie, and you have partnerships with different universities, with China. You have the Unipharma graduates. It's an important program now in Curie also. European networks, so different types of international partnerships. This is the training unit, so it's a department that coordinates in Curie everything related to training and students. And it's the people that, by the way, Luciano and Laura, you're in contact with. They help me, of course, with all the management, the director, and a team of people who are assisting in setting up courses and doing all this activity. There are a lot of courses, from national to international, theoretical, technical, and so on, that are open to all Curie people. Some of them are university accredited, genetics, different fields of biology, and we also provide a diversity of courses that are not on the scientific area. For example, French, Photoshop, Adobe, ImageG for graphics. Biostatistics is very important in many areas. Lab management, how to write a paper, scientific communication. I went to a training on team management, for team leaders. We also started now with a colleague a course on scientific integrity, how not to bullshit in your publications, which some people they don't necessarily follow. So it gives you a general training that can help you in all different types of disciplines. There's also a mentoring system for both for PhD, junior group leaders, and postdocs that help you in your work, to apply for fellowships and so on. And there is an international PhD program that is specific to Curie Institute. If you want to do that gives a few fellowships. This is in addition to other fellowships that exist in France. So just a few words, because I had some discussions about how to find a PhD in France. In the French system, you need to identify first the team where you want to go. You ask if there is space, if they're interested, and once you have identified the team, then you apply for fellowships. Each team leader is very experienced and knows which fellowships you can apply to. So actually, it's even easier for you to first identify the team and then get help. And if you want to talk to someone, they will tell you, okay, you will apply here, 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 and here. Okay, and you don't have to do the job of looking for PhD calls. Especially because it's where the difficulty is to identify the team, because many teams are just full, there's no space, and they cannot hire you. So don't waste time looking for PhD programs if you don't have identified the team. And the other things that I think is specific to France is each team leader can mentor only 2 PhD students. So for example, I have 15 people in my team, but I can only mentor 2 PhD students. Imagine I have 2 first-year PhDs today for 4 years, because PhD is 3 to 5 years. For 4 years, I cannot take any more PhD students. Okay, so this is a limitation for us. That explains why for you it's sometimes very difficult, and people, they send you negative answers. Sorry, I cannot. Sorry, no, 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 no. So don't get discouraged by all the negative replies. It's because of the constraints that we cannot have as many PhD students as we wished. And that's why also sometimes I reply to you, I don't have space, because I want to take a master's student without having the possibility to keep him for a PhD. Usually, sometimes I do it and I grab a student before, but usually I like to have the possibility to allow to stay for the PhD. And this is to finish. So we started. I've been involved in the program since 2005 or 6, but initially only for my team. Then I opened up the program to the immunology department, and a few students, they went to the other teams. And from 2009-10, we opened it up to the whole Curie Institute. And actually, I like the philosophy of giving more choice to the students, and then they decide where they want to go. And we hosted, obviously, more students. And actually, I was surprised to see it's about 10 students per year, which is a big percentage as compared to the 50 50 fellowships that many people are interested to go to the Curie Institute. But again, it's all a question of the environment that you think is matching your expectations, your needs. There is enough diversity of teams and institutions worldwide, especially in Europe, to allow you to identify the environment that you like most. And we were also very satisfied with all of the students. That's why we are pushing this program. And most of the students also found opportunities for PhDs and then postdocs who work in the industry and so on. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Vassili. Actually, this is really an excellent presentation, also because it reminds me of the beginning of the program, because actually I found Vassili in one of the European databases, because you can ask me how I was selecting the centers in the beginning. Vassili was, I think, in the US just before. When did you come back to Europe?
Back 2004.
2004, so with the Marie Curie excellent grant. So at that time, so in, of course, at the European level, this can also be interesting for young students. You can look for very good teams in the European databases, because you can see the full profile and the experience, etc. So I was impressed by his CV, by the fact that he was also receiving already a Marie Curie excellent grant, And so I contacted him and he replied, and so we started this collaboration, and really Curie is an excellent center, scientifically, in terms of publications, in terms of experience, and that's why now you're getting about 20% of the candidates each year, which is quite a lot. So congratulations and thank you for the collaboration. Any questions from him? In terms of so also, yes, you can give us a little bit more information about this the situation in France. You already mentioned a little bit. So, which are the main sources? Because many students actually they ask us, okay, I want to continue a PhD in France. So, how usually you can get funds from in France to continue a PhD? Is something of what you said, the supervisor can help.
Yeah, because the system is complex, because you have the grants from the ministry, they were mentioned this morning from by my colleague. There are grants from a few cancer funds, the ARC, Recherche contre le cancer, Ligue contre le cancer, allergy funds, autoimmune. I mean, it depends on the subject, the type of research that you do, and the institution where you go. You can apply to some fellowships. You can try to identify labs, obviously, who have openings and they already have their own financing because they have a European grant, for example, and they can pay for a PhD. They would advertise it, but there are different websites where basically you can find information about open positions. But the easiest really is to first find the lab. And I don't know who said it this morning, it's very important, I think it's your that to read and to go and learn in details what people are doing. You go find the good institutions, the Curie, the Pasteur, the good universities, and so on. You contact people, and if you find an opportunity, they will help you, because the French system is not very easy. But there are opportunities, and the team leaders, because they also have the experience of many students, they can tell you, depending on the projects, on your profile, and so on, where you have the best chances to get from.
And also, this field is also very important, of course, immunology and cancer, and many new drugs are coming out in this field. I mean, many new monoclonal antibodies, etc. So I think many companies, would really appreciate